name is Zach Smith, and what we're going to do today is just review online entrepreneurship and what it means to get into the digital marketing realm, and how to get a good standing while you're planning to take advantage of the online marketplace. I do understand that all of us have different capacities and experiences with online sales. So some of this may seem very, very general to you. Some of this may seem a little too much. I will definitely have at least 15 minutes at the end of this presentation to answer some questions that have already been submitted and some other questions that might come up. And also I will be handing out my email address so everybody can contact me at their own leisure with any questions that they might have. So talking about digital marketing, when I refer to digital marketing, I'm considering it an umbrella term for all of your online efforts that you use to promote your business and to make a sale. It's what I like to do when I'm developing plans for farms. I like to go through a 5-part process. It's in the beginning, what I like to do is just, discuss the design. How are we going to put this all together from a farm perspective, from a business perspective? Then we move into a getting discovered phase. How are we going to find out, how are people going to find out about our online presence? In relationship building, how are we going to get people to engage with our content? Commerce, how do we make a sale and increase them? And community growth, how do we build community loyalty and advocacy? So what I'm going to do is just break down all 5 of these steps. It's a lot of content, and I understand this, but I'm going to hopefully get across some good points for you. Design phase. Whenever I'm working with the farm, I like to address the purpose statement. A purpose statement is very similar to a mission or a vision statement, but I find it's more fun to create a purpose statement. And internal process that you can do with your team or just yourself, but you want to answer these 3 questions. What do you want your online business to be? What do you want your online business to do? And what do you want your online business to have as a result of what it does? And a really important reminder when you're developing content like this is understand that there's no wrong answer. This is just a process that we're going through. And that's just helping you creatively put your ideas together. But the main point of the purpose statement is remembering be, do, have. So an example I have is a purpose statement for this digital marketing planner that I've created. The purpose of the UVM Extension Agricultural Business Digital Marketing Planner, the AgBiz DMP, is to be a source of professional support to farmers throughout Vermont as they strengthen their business through online activities. The AgBiz DMP will allow farm businesses to learn about digital marketing basics, and UVM Extension specialists will give direct feedback during the planning process that will lead to a complete digital marketing plan to utilize for the farm business at the end of the process. This is something I'm encouraging a lot of farms are creating a purpose statement. It's a little bit less rigid than your mission statement and vision statement, and I highly encourage giving it a try. So now that you got your mission statement or your purpose statement, you're starting to formulate ways that you can present yourself to your digital audience. It's very important to go through the process of defining what your brand is and the products that you sell. And when I'm listing all these processes out, these are steps with yourself and your team. So number 1, define your brand and your products that you sell. Define who your target audiences will be and how you will present your brand and products to that audience. Recognize the unique aspects of each audience and make sure that your presentation to those audiences addresses their needs. Um, I'll elaborate on that in a little bit too. But part is by profiling your current customer base and defining what motivates them to buy from you. Um, as you're preparing your messaging, there's a few points of focus that I like to address, and focus on the benefits of your product and your service, like the features of those services. Focus on the benefits of what they are to your customers, to your target. Um, explain why you're the best source for this product, and provide proof that the product does what it says, uh, with testimonials, awards, special recognitions, articles, case studies, white papers. I know some of you have collaborated with extensionists in your state, and it's great to let the public know what you've been doing with specialists. So um, as you're creating your messaging, it's really important to create, I always say this, create a conversation, not a presentation. Engage the target audience. Don't talk at them, try to speak with them. And always include a call to action on every piece of content that you put out into the online marketplace or the offline marketplace. A call to action is a message that's meant to influence a decision by your target audience. So in this design phase, just a little quick summary: define your brand, its purpose, the products and services you sell. Remember to focus on the benefits to your clients. Define your target audience. Who are they? What motivates them to purchase from you? Where do they buy your product from you? And always define a set of calls to action for each audience by appealing to their motivation. In the second part, the get discovered part, we're going to start getting into more details of the online the digital ecosystem, as I like to call it. So in this phase, what we want to do is define how people are going to find out about your online presence with your websites, your social medias, etc. So you have your purpose, you have your messaging. So now what are you going to do in order to get noticed? Right here is just it's a very basic breakdown of what I like to call the digital marketing ecosystem. And I'm gonna talk about each point in this presentation a little bit. We'll talk about websites, what it means, like what types of websites are out there that are specifically good for maple producers. We'll talk a little bit about search engine optimization, or SEO, social networks, advertising, email marketing, e-commerce, and analytics. Like I mentioned before, this is a lot to digest, so I will be available for answers at the end of this, and via email and perhaps a phone call or two. When you're looking at creating your website, you have to you start with your domain. Your domain is very, very important, because that's how people are going to really remember you and remember how to find you. What I recommend with domains is keep it simple. I know a lot of people have very long family names, family farm, this, that, and the other. Try to make sure that people can remember it, so that they can come, when they're searching online, they can pop that myfarm.com right into their the URL to be able to locate your farm. Your host, when I speak of a host, it's where your site lives. Technically, it's where all of your files are stored. And we'll talk about some hosting services that I recommend. Your website is basically what he sees. And right now, I'll go into a little bit more detail, but I do recommend, for hosts, for domain registration, I do recommend GoDaddy and SiteGround. I feel that those are the two most reputable brands out there, or services out there. GoDaddy, I'll talk about this a little bit, about a few others, but GoDaddy has a really good reputation. It's been around for a long time, but their customer service is a little bit slower. But I think that SiteGround just is very great. Their customer service has always been great for the last several years that I've been using them. Um, we'll talk a little bit about social network. I feel that, some people just really love diving into social networks. Other people don't feel that great about it, or don't feel comfortable. I recommend that everybody does give a try with Facebook, Instagram. Facebook and Instagram are very easy to get started up with. Facebook is also a really, really good mechanism of providing your own customer service to your online audience. For online businesses, you can have your online audience come and ask you a question. What about, how's your, what are your hours of operation? Where do you ship, etc. Facebook not only is good for telling the story of the company, but it's also a good mechanism for customer service. And speaking of stories, Instagram is a very easy way to tell your story. You can visually engage your audience. I know several farms here in Vermont that have really gotten into Instagram, and they have been able to directly link sales to their Instagram activity. So it's been a huge positive, especially during COVID. The reason why I say that is social networks bridge that gap between you and your audience. A lot of farms and farmers have a little bit of trouble communicating with potential clients, because the potential clients don't really know, what to expect with the products from. The social media does allow that aspect to bridge that gap and have your target audiences get to know you a lot better. LinkedIn is a great network for if you're really looking into integrating within your industry. Perhaps other industry professionals or service providers will be on LinkedIn, and same for Twitter. Pinterest is out there. If you have just one thing about Pinterest, it has a very heavy population of do-it-yourselfers, craft people, and it is heavily associated with the usage of women. So if you find that your target audience fits those categories, Pinterest might be a good opportunity for you. And then I always ask, while you're looking at everything, you want to ask yourself, is this worth it? You will have to dedicate time to your social networks. If you just throw something out there, what I like to say is people can't unsee what they see on their screens. So make sure that you're really intending to put some quality content out, and and make sure that you have time to do it, and upkeep your social networks. For advertising, advertising is a big part of this game right now. I find a lot of people are out there spending Facebook and Instagram, which are both, you can advertise on them through one portal in Facebook. I have found that Facebook and Instagram have mentioned, so it is worth jumping into, but it is worth doing all of the online tutorials that they offer out there. So before you jump into advertising, make sure that you're paying attention to what they're offering for as far as tutorials go. Google maintains all online throughout the world. The problem is that their advertising networks does take a little while to get used to understand, and you will end up spending a lot of money just getting an understanding of how to make a sale. Right now, I understand that many people do not have a budget that they can just throw away on testing advertising. So right now, I do not recommend Google unless you feel very comfortable and you know what you're doing. Another great thing, though, they do offer good tutorials and instructionals on how to advertise on their network. Other search engines do offer advertising, but just like Google, I would say, it might get a little complicated. It's up to you. If you feel like you have the time and you have the budget, you can answer that question for yourself of whether you should advertise online. I have seen a lot of people have a success just figuring it out with a $100 budget. just to see what happens. And then also remembering, another thing to remember is a lot of farmers, a lot of maple producers, you guys are out and about, well, before COVID, but still people manage to interact with your offline audiences at farmers markets or at certain gatherings. So it's really important to remember that you have your printed materials have your farm information on it. Email marketing, I like to talk about this quite a bit because it's the most effective channel of marketing. The reason why it's so effective is people have asked you already to contact them. So I like to consider that a micro agreement. People have already said, yes, please contact me in regards to what you offer, discounts, etc. So I encourage this with everybody that I work with. Get into email marketing. Inbound marketing software that I really like, MailChimp, Constant Contact. And if you feel that you want to jump into something that's a little bit more robust, that has a CRM component, client relationship management component, I would recommend HubSpot CRM. Like I said, HubSpot will take a little bit more of an onboarding effort, but they do have excellent materials and knowledge bases to look into. E-commerce, we'll talk about this a little bit more, but when I talk about e-commerce, I talk about making a sale online, what's necessary. You have to have an online store, you have to have a payment gateway, you have to have some form of security. I will talk about this a little bit too, just the platforms, but the platforms that I recommend, that I most highly recommend, are Shopify and BigCommerce. Those two I've had the most experience with. Those platforms are all-in-one platforms that I'll get into in a little bit. GrazeCart is another one that's more for people that are into CSAs. It's a little bit more complicated and it comes with a lot more expenses, but people have had success with it. But I will come back to these platforms and discuss them. Another thing to consider is your content marketing. It's just really important to make sure that you are putting out quality content to people. It's like I said before, once people see something online, they're not going to forget about it and they're going to associate it with your brand. And sometimes that could be detrimental if you're not putting together good content. And another thing to consider, which I'll talk about again, is the buyer's journey. How did they get to purchasing your product? It's nice to map that out so you can find out where you can focus your marketing efforts. Another thing to consider throughout all of this is whether you can do it on your own and whether you need to hire someone. Very generally speaking, I like to tell people to look into the younger audience if you don't feel comfortable, and start with family members. You'd be very, very surprised to see what the youngsters are picking up nowadays, and their talents are really applicable to digital marketing. But if you're going to hire someone, I highly recommend that you hire someone that has recommendations, or if you see someone that you really like what they're doing online with their website or their social media, go and ask them, how did they do that? Did they hire someone? Did they do it on their own? And just, get that recommendation, because unfortunately, a lot of consultants out there and agencies out there will end up being very costly and maybe not worth it for you. So make sure that you're carefully investigating who you're going to hire. So when I talk about the customer journey path, I encourage you to take a look at your current customer base and visually create a map of how they originally became your customer. How did they find you? What made them purchase from you? And how long have they been a customer of yours? Another important thing to consider is, what's the lifetime value of this customer to your business? Once you get that visual idea of what's going on, you're formulate your messaging and your outreach. In part 3, we talk about, this relationship building side of things. In order to figure out how people are going to engage with your content, it's important to understand the basic forms of traffic that come to your site. So we'll go a little bit, but search engine optimization is just really important right now. A lot of you have probably heard about SEO, but what it means is if someone's trying to look for a product, maple syrup in Philadelphia or something like that, and they type it in, you want to show up somewhere. You want to be able to have your product show up, and so it's important to focus on that. Like I said before, creating value that's relevant to your business and the product that you're selling online. All of the major search engines will be indexing your website. Sometimes you have to do this automatically, or sometimes your platform will do it for you. But all of these search engines scan websites and index every single page and every word and image that you have on your website, so that they can be able to relevantly display your search, your website in their search results. It's really important when you want to dive into this to get to an understanding of all of these search engine consoles, is what they're called. So diving into the forms of traffic to your site, direct traffic is traffic that comes to your site when someone already knows your domain name, myfarm.com. Direct traffic is a direct relation. It has a direct relationship with how well you are marketing your site and remembering your site. Referral traffic is a great form of traffic, and that means that people are linking to your website on their own sites. You're getting referral sites to your site. You can also refer traffic to other websites with links on your own site. The most important thing to remember is when you're linking to other sites, or other sites are linking to you, to make sure that on both ends everything is relevant and reputable. I discussed email marketing. Email marketing is super important. It's super important to pay attention to, and we'll talk a little bit about how you can do that. Social traffic is, as you can guess, is all the traffic that comes from social media presences. And organic traffic, that's the big kicker. Organic traffic really is a great measurement of how your site is doing. And it's over time. I know when you start up a site, sometimes it may take about 3 months to get going, but your organic traffic should always be increasing. If it is decreasing, you have to address something on your site. Something is wrong on your website. Maybe it's stagnant. Maybe you haven't been putting out fresh content. So it's very, very important to make sure that you're monitoring your organic traffic. For people in Vermont and parts of New York, another that's very important, which could be considered email marketing, is Front Porch Forum. I have found many people that have had success with Front Porch Forum. I know that now they're moving into this area where they are charging for people to promote their businesses, but I have found people that have been able to increase traffic to their websites and increase sales through posting on Front Porch Forum. So I highly encourage that. In part 4 of this planning process, we want to focus on e-commerce and how to increase sales volumes. The most important part of this phase is to analyze the information that your website is producing for you. When I talk about this, what I'm trying to say is you have to have a platform that can measure your sales. You have to have a platform that can measure how much traffic is coming to your site, who's buying what, how much time they're spending on their site. We'll talk about that in a little bit of detail in the next and further on here. But so points of interest when you're looking at your website, you want to understand what sales are going on, how are your sales doing? Are you looking at your thing to measure? Are you measuring your revenue, your average order values, and your lifetime value of your customers? every business, every have these as their number one key performance indicators. Going a little bit more into detail on platforms, I know this is a big issue with a lot of producers out there. But the three most important things to making sales online is to have your website, have a form of intake, which I'll talk about, and then have a payment gateway. The payment gateway is just how people pay you, how people give you their credit card or their PayPal information. Like I said before, all-in-one solutions just seem to be the best right now for agricultural businesses. It's because almost everybody I know time on their hands. So it's good to go with a solution that comes all in one, which what I mean by all in one is that the hosting is already included. The security of the website is included. Security is extremely important when you're making sales on your website, because you are taking in people's personal information and their credit card information. So you want to make sure that you have that, and these solutions offer that. And when I talk about integrations, sometimes people want to kick it up a notch and really amplify their sales online. There are a million different offerings for sales software, marketing software, blogging software. So you want to make sure that they can integrate with those the other software out there. I highly recommend BigCommerce, and their plans usually start at about $29 per month, which is pretty standard, and it's pretty. I think it's a great deal. And another thing is, I am not paid by any of these companies for anything. I only work for UVM. Another thing that if you want to get into something like as far as really making your own style website, if you have some creative ideas, if you want to add your own creative stylings to everything, go with a build your own platform. The most popular ones are WordPress, Wix, Squarespace, and Weebly. I find that with Wix, particularly with Wix and Weebly, farmers and producers have had some problems just really figuring them all out. WordPress is an open source software, and it's highly customizable. And I find that a lot of farmers, especially this past year with breaking out on their own and getting online, that they've had success with WordPress. And Squarespace is also really taken off on, basically it's a build your own kind of platform as well. What you can do with these is they're highly customizable. A major thing that they do, you do need to address with these is that they require a host. And like I recommended earlier, SiteGround and GoDaddy are the best ones. It will require security. All of these platforms will require security, and they will tell you that you need to have security, which involves buying an SSL certificate, and you'll be able to look in. But just remember, you will need to address that security to make sure that you can process payments on your website. The thing with these platforms, though, is most of their integrations will require an extra investment. For example, WordPress will need to have something like WooCommerce, which is its most popular payment gateway. Talk about that in a little bit too. And then also, when you're using a build your own platform, you may require a professional to get started and to maintain it. The form of intake, like I was mentioning earlier, you got to have some way for people to enter their information and tell you what they want from you. Common forms are, I find a lot of businesses are just using Google Forms, where they're just putting they're designing the form on Google, on the Google platform, and then either emailing it out to people or pasting it on their website. It's a very, very basic way to have people contact you. They will not be able to process any, they won't be able to process any payments, but it is a good way to get people to submit some form of communication to you through your website. Like I mentioned before, Hubspot is, I mean, I'm sure Mark and Tom that are listening in right now know that I'm a big fan of HubSpot. I've been using it for almost 9 years now, and I really think it's great for all levels of entrepreneurs. So I highly recommend looking into it. And then a lot of platforms, if you're going to use WordPress, Shopify, BigCommerce, they're already going to have built-in forms that you can place on your websites when you're creating your website. Right here, the most important thing is customer relationship management with these forms. You want to be able to have people contact you, and you need to be able to organize the information that they're giving you, including what sales are being made on your site. Speaking of sales, the payment gateways that I recommend the most are PayPal and Braintree. And then Stripe, I feel, is the most reputable out there too as well. It integrates with all platforms. And then Square, a lot of you I know, and a lot of people that are already in farmers markets use Square. So it does integrate with a lot of these platforms. Apple Pay works. And then another point that I wanted to bring up is the utilization of Venmo. Not 100% sure about how to utilize Venmo online on a website, but I actually at farmers markets and other gatherings where people are selling their products, that using Venmo has increased sales for a lot of agricultural entrepreneurs that I speak with. And when you're looking at all of this, really make sure that you're understanding what your fees are that these gateways are charging you, and they will be very blatant. And so make sure that you're taking that into consideration. For analytics, I like to talk about this a lot, and anybody who's going to create a website and have a website, I highly encourage that you make sure that you are installing Google Analytics on your website. It may sound a little complicated, but it is not. There are plenty of online tutorials provided by Google that tell you how to install Google Analytics on your website. It's a free service. And what it allows you to do is just allows you to dig deeper into the performance of your website and your marketing efforts. It allows you to break down every channel of website and find out, who's coming, who's going, who's buying stuff, how long are they spending on your website. And you can really get a good understanding of what your audience profiles are. Why do you want to have a good understanding of your audience profiles? You want to make sure that those profiles are matching your marketing efforts. So it's a really good thing to do. Sometimes I work with clients that need to have Google analytical information every single day. Some people do it bi-weekly, some people do it monthly, but I just say, just do it, because you're gonna be able to refine your efforts. And so community building, moving on to your goals are to create new sales and repeat purchases. So how are you going to do it? You want to focus on the main indicators of success in this phase are repeat purchases, lifetime value of customers, satisfaction rate, and brand advocacy. The way to go about doing this is create a customer engagement with your customers so that business offerings address that. Or do you want to be emailing people? Do you want to be doing online events? Do you want to post online Q&As? It's up to you. You come up with it. But figure out what you want to offer, create a calendar for it. Just want to email people. How often do you want to use social media? This new messaging on your website, like blogging. This is really important for, even if it's just a one-man show, it's really important that you understand what you want to do for the upcoming months. And always remember to encourage sharing. People probably, if you're familiar with social media, you understand that sharing is a big influence. But online sharing is almost like building word of mouth, and word of mouth is one of the best forms of marketing out there. So figure out how to influence services by goodwill, or even incentivize them with discounts. Tactics in that area, do deserve a little bit more time to discuss. So those are the 5 phases that I've liked to focus on with clients in digital marketing planning. Um, I will make sure that we follow up with a link to the actual digital marketing. It's online and it's just in its soft, but it goes over all of these parts into a lot more detail, and it allows you to communicate with our team at UVM, and we can give you some valuable feedback on developing a digital marketing plan. So feel free to email me at any time, and we will be sending an email introducing the digital marketing planner to all of the attendees to this presentation. So one of the first questions that we had submitted is, what practical suggestions can you offer to create an attractive website for sales in a minimum amount of time? Um, Super important thing for all people jumping in from agriculture to the online marketplace. I would say go with your all-in-one platform. All-in-one platform will probably take you for anywhere from about 20 hours to 40 total hours to get everything created, live, and have the ability to process payments. That's kind of just been a general that I've noticed. So make sure that you understand that you will need to dedicate that time to getting that going. If that's your time or if that's someone that you're hiring. Use of online stores and marketing for small producers. Yeah, small producers. What I like to do, I mean, the reason why I promote this with in digital marketing, everybody, is digital marketing does allow you to level the playing field from small producers and large producers. So I just encourage you to get out there creating very quality content, and just don't expect to be making $1 million in sales the first month, but just focus on the little wins. And it's really easy for a small producer to gain an online marketplace, an online audience. Someone asked about if anyone's ever tried barn to door. I know a lot of people have looked into it, but it's been prohibitive as far as all the costs involved in getting started. I would like, if there's anybody present on this webinar right now, if there's anybody present that would like to share their experience with it or what they know of, anything anecdotally, please feel free to raise a hand, and I'd love to hear from you. But I have heard that barn to door has been a little bit prohibitive for the small producer. What key trends can we as Vermont maple farmers market to reach a broader audience outside of New England? I think really looking, if you want to reach a market outside of New England, you're going to have to, one, create good content on your sites, on your site, on social media, and then you're going to have to dive into advertising. When you're diving into advertising, a whole huge other topic that I will eventually be addressing in the future. But when you're diving into advertising, just make sure that you're doing everything you can to focus on geolocations. On the Facebook and Instagram and Google platforms, you can actually market to people by their zip codes. I heard that a gentleman was doing really well selling maple to from New England area in San Francisco. As you can imagine, especially for Vermont producers, we have, so it is attractive around the nation. So it is important to make the most out of that. Question here is a question about selling on Amazon, and is it advisable for maple syrup producers? I would recommend that you start somewhere else. I think Amazon really tries to commoditize things. It's really hard. There are upfront fees. I've had a lot of people have problems with Amazon, so I would say no, but I'm not exactly like completely convinced doing it. There are a lot of a lot of things to take care of to get up and going on Amazon. And once again, if anybody on this call has experience on Amazon, please feel free to raise your hand and let us know. So I'm gonna check out the chats here.
Yeah, Zach, we got a couple coming in from the chat, and I can read them off to you if that helps,
Cool.
and you can just think about the answer. So Matthew writes in, we are looking to add an online store to our site. We currently use Square for our farmers markets and for processing payments, inventory, etc. They have an online store option. Do you have an opinion with them versus others? So I think that's a opinion on the Square online store option. Also, any recommendations on shipping cost integration?
Yep. I do know a lot of people that use Square's and they have a lot of success. If you're already using Square, I say go ahead, integrate it with your website. It's definitely a lot easier. It just, if you're using Square and you can integrate it with your website, go for it. And as far as shipping costs integration, what we have generally noticed as working in marketing, especially in with shipping agricultural products, in almost all products across the board, it's important to include shipping in your pricing. People really like to see free shipping, even if it does cost more than others. It's just a little well, it's not a little minor marketing tactic, but it is just fit your shipping cost into your total pricing and make sure that you're telling people free shipping. Look at the next question here.
Hey, Mark, this is Fred.
Yeah, you got a question, Fred?
Well, just comment on the Amazon stuff. We are in Amazon. It is very expensive to be there. It is very low profit margins. Hopefully, at some point, we're doing more volume than what we are now, but there isn't much money to be made. It's more about getting rid of your product there. It's a bit of a hassle, and we use a third party to do all the marketing and setup for us, which is another cost involved. But it's very complicated to be in it, and I don't know that I recommend it, and I'm not sure we're going to be in the long haul. But for right now, is another avenue that we just started this year in May due to COVID and trying to get another avenue of sales. And so we're still in the trial period, and at this point, I'm not a big fan, but it is an outlet.
Great. Yeah, like I said, I've had experiences in a variety of different enterprises, and it's just working on you don't, especially with maple production, this isn't really, you don't want to consider it a commodity. You have a lot of value on this product. You have a lot of business as well. So I have seen people have a lot of headaches with Amazon. The next question is talking about someone who already has a platform that's on they have a website that's on WordPress. Is it possible or advisable to consider something else like Shopify? If you already have a WordPress site and you feel comfortable managing it, I'd say go ahead and integrate WooCommerce into your website. It's easier. If you're going to go and move over to Shopify or BigCommerce, you're going to have to build your website from the ground, and that just takes time. And I know from personal experience and also experience working with Vermont, they have no problems with their WordPress site integrating with WooCommerce. A major thing to really focus on here, though, is you have to make sure that you're keeping your website up to date. WooCommerce, WordPress are both open source software, so people are constantly building in primarily security features into the website or into their offerings, into their software. So you have to make sure that you're carefully paying attention to all your plugins and your themes, sure that they are up to date with all of the latest software that's being produced by them. Um, Another question is, what would you recommend for a system that has a point of sale? What would you recommend for a system that has point of sale, can integrate with the website, and keep track of the whole farm inventory? Um, I mean, a lot of, I think all of these platforms can manage, yeah, inventory is super important for agricultural purposes. Um, all of these platforms do have an inventory management component. And like I was saying earlier, a website, go with the most like highly recommended e-commerce integration with WordPress. Go with WooCommerce. If you have, integrate with integrate their platform with your website. What I would, as far as inventory management goes, is call the company, get online with the company, ask them about what they would recommend, what they have their latest features for. A lot of people just overlook the fact that a lot of these companies are waiting for you to call them. I find all throughout all my experience, if I have a question like that, I call up the person whose software I'm using or want to use and say, hey, this is my situation. How can your software help me? So that's my recommendation for that. And obviously updating your inventory, it might have to be manual until you get a flow of things. I know some people that are moving into like being able to integrate with scanning, but there's a whole world of opportunity out there for whole farm inventory management. And then we have Joshua who says they're on barn to door, finding that they're expensive and they would do more marketing for us and not teach us how to do it ourselves. Don't have the time to make it successful. Yeah, I've heard that a lot with barn to door and a lot of other like kind of online CSA softwares. They just seem to be a little too cumbersome to figure out and very expensive. And right now, I just feel that for our agricultural entrepreneurs, that perhaps it might not make the most sense if you don't have the time to fully utilize that.
Hey, Zach, this is Mark. I'm wondering if I can ask a question.
Sure.
I make it a point to scan websites sometimes for maple businesses I'm working with, or sometimes just kind of scanning in general. And a lot of times I'll see a website that has maybe like an about us, or they've got some sort of like photo gallery or some aspect of their website that had been updated. Maybe it's like news and events. And oftentimes those news and events could be backdated like a year and a half, sometimes more. And I just really love to get your feedback as someone who sees this all day. What should people strive for for maintaining that kind of content? And what's the perception from consumers when stuff like that does get backdated, sometimes several months or more? I also want to mention too, I know maple's seasonal, so it's not like we're always harvesting sap throughout the year. So I think that may also factor into sometimes people's activity. But I just love to get your feedback on like what the consumer thinks when they see maybe sporadic content compared to very recent content.
Well, you brought up a very, very interesting point, and it's two things. One, yeah, the consumer will, and that is outdated, and they will be put off by it. These guys aren't even in business anymore. So on like the consumer side, yeah, it is off-putting if you're not putting out quality content and fresh content. When I say fresh, recommend if you're going to use social media, at least be putting out a once a week communication. If you're going to be using email marketing, which I highly recommend, I know a lot of people that put out once a week communications, just very simple. Hey, we got a flash sale going on, this, that, or the other. Or, hey, sugaring season's right upon us. Just something to keep your audience engaged is really important. If you're going to blog, which, you know, you can blog on any topic you want and as long as it's relevant. Make sure that you're at least putting that out at least once a month too. Another thing to consider is not just your audience or like the people out there, but also you have to consider the search engines that I was talking about before. They will, as they're constantly monitoring what's out there on the web and indexing information on the web, if Google noticed that you haven't put out any quality information in the last couple months, you actually go down in their rankings, and it really hurts your organic traffic, your search engine optimization. So you want to be constantly refreshing information on your website, and the easiest tactic to do is maintain a blog. That keeps stuff fresh, that keeps Google happy indexing new information, and it will lead to higher organic rankings.
Thanks, Zach. Well, we're right at 8 o'clock, and I think this is people's last chance. You should be able to unmute yourself if you have a question. And we probably have time for maybe one more on the chat box before we close out. So we'll give that challenging pause. Always tough for teachers to stop talking. And if we're not seeing anything else, I'll just, thank Zach for the time. And Zach, I know you're working on this digital marketing planner. I know it's coming soon. So we will definitely work with you to get that posted to maplemanager.org. Probably we could park it maybe near the actual registration for this event. So when people go to the upcoming events section, we can get it there and get it linked, get people linked back. I think we got one last question in here, Zach.
Yeah.
Do you need a privacy policy statement?
Yeah, that is a really good and very pertinent issue or to bring up right now. There are a lot of restrictions going into place when people are processing information or taking in information from their online audiences. And yes, it is very important to have a privacy policy if you are processing information from that people are giving you online. Something that's very important is having that present, visible on your website along with your terms of services. And also, if you're going to advertise online through Facebook or other areas, they will ask you for a privacy policy statement. I do know that some platforms do produce standard boilerplate kind of statement, and then you can also go online. I think Rocket Lawyer does that, and I've used them in the past, and it's a very, very good. Yeah, it's a great point that you bring up, Brian. Privacy policy statement necessary if you're processing people's information.
Great, thanks, Zach. For anyone that's still on, I'd say we're gonna cut out here in a minute for this session tonight. But if you do have follow-up questions for Zach, we've got the option ask the team. That feature I showed you on the maplemanager.org website's available, so you can type in a question there. If it's about digital marketing, we'll make sure that Zach gets the chance to review it. And Zach's been more than generous with his contact information here on the screen. And the digital marketing planner, just another opportunity to work with Zach and get a little bit more of a customized service, customized education to advance your plan. So I think we'll say goodnight, and thanks, Zach, for the presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, everyone have a good evening, and don't hesitate to come back next couple weeks for the remaining webinars that we have in November and December.